Donald Trump is claiming that photos being shared of him have been generated by AI. And recently, we've seen a lot of claims that anything that reflects negatively on a politician was just made by AI. That is Roger Stone's go-to defense. In this case, Trump is right, and that feels very weird to say. So he's attacking Mark Ruffalo for sharing images of Donald Trump on a plane, supposedly one of Epstein's planes, surrounded by children. Here's what the photos look like. You can see the tweet from Mark Ruffalo, actor and activist, saying, "Gross. MAGA wants to paint everyone on these flights as pedophiles, except the one guy who smiles at a group of young girls all headed to Epstein's fantasy island with him. My bet is there are some decent Republicans left in America that may think this is going too far." Well, that was going too far because those images are fake. By the way, if you're familiar with AI image generation, you can they have a characteristic way of doing things that it should be fairly obvious. And I would also say, by the way, I like Mark Ruffalo. I like a lot of what he does in politics. I feel like if you think that there are images showing Donald Trump on Epstein's plane with little girls going to the island, that's probably gonna be on the New York Times. I don't think you need to find that on a tweet at this point. And don't trust things on Twitter. You already should have had skepticism a few years ago. Now, don't trust a damn thing that you see on Twitter. So if it's too good to be true, perhaps it's too good to be true, is what I would say. In any event, he has apologized and issued a correction saying, "Sorry, folks, apparently these images are AI fakes. The fact Trump was on Epstein's plane and what Epstein was up to is not, which is true. Be careful. Elon's X and his allowing so much disinformation here is driving the value of Zap down by 55%, which all of that is true. I would say, while it is true that there's a lot more disinformation and he kind of was sucked into it, you also have to take responsibility for, that there's disinformation. So we have to have better walls of critical thinking up against that. Because when you make a mistake like you did, and when you're well known and have as many followers as Mark Ruffalo does, you allow Donald Trump to bleed out things like this. "This is what the Democrats do to their Republican opponent, capital O, who's leading them by a lot in the capital P polls. This is AI and it is very dangerous for our country. Also, I was never on Epstein's plane, or it is stupid." Stupid is in quotation marks, capital I island. So is he saying that someone else is calling it a stupid island? Because if he thinks it's a stupid island, why is it in quotation marks? Because that makes it seem as if you don't believe the word you're saying. What the hell is going on in your brain when you're typing things? Anyway, it will be a very big and very dangerous problem in the future, which I agree. I've been talking about how AI, I think, is very dangerous. Of course, what makes it dangerous is right-wingers weaponizing it. In this particular case, yes, Donald Trump was hit by it, but 99 times out of 100 is gonna be used by right-wingers who have shown that they have no problem whatsoever spreading disinformation. So Sharon, we have this weird case where Donald Trump is in the right and Mark Ruffalo's in the wrong.
And I would agree with everything you said. He's got to take responsibility for this. He's got to be more careful, much more of a keen eye. Until 2016 came around, really in 2015, I guess he came down that elevator and everything's changed. Yeah, it's not good. It's not good to put up a fake picture, retweet it, or re-exit, or whatever you want to call it. But at the end of the day, there's no bigger fake news. Is Trump offended by this? I hope not. He loves fake news. He loves fake news. And so does the right, as I was nearly flew out of my chair with the Hunter Biden nonsense that went on today. But anyway, back to this. He should have apologized. That's what decent people do. But the rules have changed, John. The rules have changed. And people are going to believe what they believe anyway. And if that were a real picture, they wouldn't believe it anyway. They'd say AI and Roger Stone and this and that. So what does this really mean? Has there been an erosion of trust because he tweeted out an AI picture? No, I just don't believe there is, as sad as that is.
Yeah, look, I think there is very little trust to erode at this point. And I see people in the chat saying, yeah, but what about all the other stuff about Trump and Epstein? No, I'm not discounting any of that. And we've talked about it multiple times. What I'm saying is, particularly when you have this stuff that is true and well reported, then why undercut it by not having the guard up that allows you to know that this is not true. That said, I do want to just quickly show this because he's talking about how it's AI, it's very dangerous. If any of you have spent any time on Donald Trump's Truth Social, what you will come to find out that in addition to some indisputable facts, like it's the worst platform, it's terrible, the ads are laughable and oftentimes visually disgusting. Don't eat while you're on True Social. He loves AI images of him. He posts them all the time. There isn't a person like a 40-year-old conservative in Iowa where graphic design is their passion, who puts together a terrible AI image that he won't re-bleat on his platform. Anything of him walking next to a giant lion with an Apache helicopter in the background, or him riding a Harley with an AR-15, he tweets out all of that stuff. And I sort of get it. That's imagery that can't exist in the real world. If you want to see that stuff, and they desperately want to believe that he's tough enough to walk down a plane runway with a lion or whatever, you have to produce it with AI. What's funny though is when he spreads AI images of stuff that, in theory, you shouldn't have to rely on stable diffusion to create. Take a look at this that he bleated out. Siggy Flicker says, "Pray for this man, pray for his family, pray for this country, pray for the world," and it's Donald Trump praying. That is an AI image. And what is amazing about that is Siggy Flicker likes the idea that Donald Trump is a devout man. Siggy Flicker likes the idea that Donald Trump is religious and prays. Siggy Flicker would have attached a real photo of Donald Trump praying if those were on offer. Instead, like with the lion and the Apache helicopter, to get an image of Donald Trump down on one knee, they have to use artificial intelligence to produce it. And that is a sad state of affairs for the Republican Party.
It is. He can't get down on one knee. Stop it. Okay, you got to stop it. But I am very concerned about Siggy, and we've got to get to her now, because if you believe this guy is this devout Christian, remember the Bible that was upside down? I remember they said, "What inspires you?" Paraphrasing. What passage? What quote something for us? And he said, all of them. Like Sarah Palin said when Katie Couric said, "What are you reading?" Everything. He couldn't do it. And so again, I say, what does this fakeness really do? It just reinforces where you already are. Now, I will say this, I do moonwalk back on the point that you made, which is we're spending all this time talking about the fake photos when there's real, credible evidence of this man's associations. And I do think that you make a strong point there. And that is a problem because, once again, what he really did is being diminished. And we're talking about like one little tiny mistake. And I do see it as tiny.
True.
Wrong, but tiny.
I agree. I think that is fair. And he did do, like Mark Ruffalo did actually apologize and owned up to the fact that it was fake when there's a car crash and everyone on the right immediately says, this is a trans activist terrorist plot. As soon as it turns out that it's not, most of them just never say anything. They just don't, they literally don't care. So they don't say anything. I will disagree with you in turn on one thing. Ooh. I do think that Donald Trump could get down on one knee. I just don't think he can get back up.
Can't get up.
And that's not a problem of just him. It's getting harder for me.
Me too, me too. But I'm working on it. Do you really think he's working on it? No.
No, probably not. And neither am I. For more political news breakdowns, interviews, stories of activism, and me trying my hardest to care about the occasional big celebrity news story, subscribe to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/The Damage Report. And you can ring the bell wherever it is so you don't miss anything.